This is CBS.
That championship season, the Dodgers are the best in the National League and headed for the World Series. And that certainly is cause for celebration all over the Southland, where Dodger fans are anything but blue. Hello, everyone. I'm Valerie Coleman.
And I'm Chris Cananglo. Also ahead, a big day for another American pastime, politics. The men who would be president are warming up for their last debate at UCLA. And county agricultural officials get ready for another attack on the medfly. We'll have the latest on that.
I'm Maclovio Perez. The first real weather front of the season moves in on California. I'll have details.
And I'm Dr. Howard Torman. How accurate is the current AIDS test, and should there be mandatory testing? We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes.
We're going to have these stories and all the late-breaking news when Action News gets underway in just a moment.
Read the...
Johnny couldn't read at 7.
Instructions.
He still didn't learn at 14.
This application?
What will he do at 21? We spend billions on schools, yet our children's education is falling short. Using the latest in audience opinion polling, Channel 2 Action News will present a special town meeting to confront Southern California's growing education crisis.
Save our schools, Friday at 8 on Channel 2.
On Sunday, most people in Waipahu, Hawaii, don't do much more than walk downtown for a shave ice and a little conversation. The rest of the week, they grow sugarcane for C&H. So they figure they deserve to enjoy a little taste of what they've worked so hard for. We hope you do too.
Pure cane sugar from Hawaii, C&H.
Amtrak's All Aboard America fares, the best price view you'll ever get of America. It's a World Series matchup. The Dodgers and Channel 2's Keith Olbermann. And now, from KCBS Television in Los Angeles, Southern California's most honored news broadcast. This is Channel 2 Action News at noon.
And good afternoon, everybody. Here's what's happening. For the first time since 1981, the Dodgers are the champions of the National League. It took 7 games, but that 7th game was no contest. Keith Olbermann reports on how the Dodgers blew away the Mets.
All right, here's Darling setting. Pitch on the way to Gibson. Hit high to center field. That'll bring the runner in from third. It should advance.
Steve Sachs scores as the Dodgers open it up against the Mets and Ron Darling. 1-0 LA in the first. And the fun continued. Dodgers load the bases in the second, none out. Hershiser taps to Greg Jeffries, but it's the rookie who has tapped out. He's throwing home before he even has the ball. And that unleashes the Dodger genie from the bottle. Sachs shoots one up the middle. Hamilton and Griffin score. The lead is doubled to 4-0. And the Mets and starter Darling are in trouble. Met manager Davey Johnson has 2 bullpen choices, Dwight Gooden, who has never relieved before in the majors, or the crafty little right-hander Mike Dukakis in the pen after having trouble finishing what he'd started. Meanwhile, the Met defense continued to be Bush behind Gooden. Wally Backman with an awful flip. Elster dazed by the incoming Rambo Gibson. Another run scores 5-zip. A sac fly makes it 6. At this point, they evacuate the limping Gibson to higher ground. It was prudent. The Mets had already tanked, virtually given up. Not that Hershiser gave them any reason to hope. Perfect down the stretch. Kevin McReynolds says duckling yolk for some reason. Orel had gone back to the clubhouse after the first inning to check the videotape to see what he'd been doing wrong. By the 9th inning, that was nothing. Orel tells pitching coach Ron Peranowski, "I'm fine, let's go." 2 out in the 9th. Tom Lasorda always eating. The laugh of the night. Some thought this pitch to Howard Johnson was strike 3, and the Dodger bench suffers premature jocularity, but they'd be running for real momentarily.
The Dodgers win it. A cold third strike. The Oakland A's are next.
I could barely hold tears back during the last out. When we got 2 outs and nobody on, I said, we're going to win this thing. It's just a matter of time. I don't know how many runs they're going to get, but I don't think they're going to get 6. And so I just almost started celebrating and thanking God by myself right out there. And then when we got the out, I just fell down. It's just it's too much emotion to deal with.
It's great to be the underdog, I'll tell you, because you're in a situation where you maybe and generally take the pressure off yourselves. And it's nice to be the underdog. I'm sure we'll be the underdogs against the A's, and that's fine with me.
There was one Dodger who was not feeling at all like an underdog.
We're ready! We've been shadow boxing! We've been running 3 miles a day! We've been chopping wood! We want Joe Frazier!
Well, we know who got the bulk of the champagne in that locker room. Keith Olbermann, Channel 2 Action News.
As you probably know, Hershiser was named the series' most valuable player. The World Series starts Saturday. The Dodgers will send either John Tudor or Tim Belcher to the mound for the first game. Oakland A's probable starter, Dave Stewart.
Well, you know, while the World Series is bound to be exciting, last night by itself was a one-of-a-kind event for thousands of Dodgers fans. Their true blue spirit showed throughout the evening, and Channel 2's Sylvia Lopez was there for all the excitement.
In the beginning, it was hard to tell who was most intense, Dodger fans or the Mets. After all, this was the ultimate in coast-to-coast rivalry, but New York enthusiasm vanished in the second inning, and it never quite came back.
Thought it was over after they took Darling out, and you know, they just didn't have it tonight, so I hope that they can do a little bit better next year.
How upset are you?
Real upset. I want to cry.
Dodger fans and entrepreneurs wasted no time in taking advantage of the win. Even before the game was over, there were Dodger headlines and Dodger championship t-shirts.
I'm the first one to have one.
Yeah.
And Dodger battle cries to win the World Series.
BTA! BTA! BTA!
What makes the victory so sweet is that everyone said the Dodgers didn't have a chance. These fans never lost hope.
Never from day one, season holder ticket, always knew that the Dodgers would come in all the way. And come World Series time, we're gonna win! All right, all right!
Sylvia Lopez, Channel 2 Action News.
Now, much to no one's surprise, ticket sales for the Dodgers Oakland World Series have quickly sold out. Season ticket holders have their seats reserved, but those hoping to get something from that general public sale, well, they were quick to hear the bad news when they called Ticketmaster.
The best thing that I can say you can do, you can try back like within 15 minutes to see if anybody escaped, because like everybody is on the computers, and so far they're all sold out at this moment.
Well, it certainly didn't take very long to close the sales. All Ticketmaster people could say after this was call back. Maybe someone might cancel out, you think? And those who had to wait outside the stadium, well, some of them all night had waited there. They got the disappointing edge to their Dodger glory. They didn't realize that they had to phone Ticketron or Ticketmaster to get the tickets. So now our big question is it good that the A's have been off for a while and the Dodger momentum is going to carry them into Saturday, or what do you think?
Given the choice, I think the Dodgers would rather have had a little bit more time off, but they'll be ready. They're such an emotional team that they will be ready. I mean, they weren't supposed to go this far.
That's right.
You know, so this is a team of destiny, as they say. Well, L.A. takes time out from baseball tonight for another American pastime, politics. George Bush and Mike Dukakis are set to meet at UCLA's Pauley Pavilion for the final presidential debate. This is a crucial meeting, especially for Dukakis. Polls show him trailing in electoral votes, and he hopes to score big tonight. We have a series of reports, beginning with Eric Enberg.
George Bush could relax at last night's baseball game, knowing that the big pressure for the moment was on the Dodgers, the Mets, and Michael Dukakis. Bush's nationwide lead in several opinion polls is now well enough established that his major concern in the opinion of Republican strategists is simply to hang on to what he has, not break any new ground with the electorate. A CBS News New York Times poll released yesterday shows Bush picking up support in the last week despite an uneven debate performance by his running mate Dan Quayle, and now leading 50-45. What these kinds of numbers mean for tonight's debate, Republicans say, is that Dukakis will no doubt be pressing hard, trying to force Bush into a king-size mistake. Their advice to their man, stay cool.
If the vice president does what he did the first time, that is appear presidential and
draw the contrast between himself and Governor Dukakis, that's what we'd be looking for.
From Bush's current vantage point in the catbird seat of Campaign 88, tonight's debate does have its perils. The Republicans expect Dukakis to try to goad Bush into a fight, and in the face of that, they want Bush to remain the amiable George many voters seem to be accepting. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Good. With polls showing Michael Dukakis still lagging behind George Bush, his campaign sees tonight's debate as the last best chance for Dukakis to pitch his program to the American people. The candidate says he's ready to strike Bush out with
fastball, curve, sliders, maybe a knuckler.
Dukakis has a hard task before him. After 18 months campaigning as a competent state manager, the latest CBS New York Times poll finds that more than half, 53% of voters, have no idea what he has done as governor of Massachusetts. And by 47 to 37%, voters just like Bush better. So yesterday, we were treated to a smiling, relaxed Dukakis. Advisors say he won the last debate on substance. He must win this one on personality. Dukakis has a lot riding on this debate. He must construct an appealing political image and convince voters he's got the right prescription for the nation's problems, something he's been unable to do in a year and a half of steady campaigning. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And Channel 2 will carry the debate live beginning at 6 o'clock.
And just ahead on Action News, Mac with a look at the weather.
And the latest on the battle to rid the Southland of the medfly. Stay with us.
If you like chicken, you'll love Alpha Beta's everyday low prices on Foster Farms chicken. And this week, the prices are even lower during our terrific chicken sale. We've cut the price on Foster Farms cut-up fryers to 89 cents a pound. Tender, juicy whole fryers are just 59 cents a pound. And lots more chickens on sale, but only through Sunday. So come on in and check out the difference.
Check out the difference at Alpha Beta.
Hello? Hi, dear. It's your wide-footed mom. You sound excited. I am. Remember you telling me about chick-wide shoes? Had to, Mom, with your wide feet. And I appreciate it. You should see the beautiful shoes I just bought.
Magnesium's sleek and sassy, smooth and classy, eye-catching Magnesiums for comfort plus style. You'll find a Magnesium shoe for you at Chickwide Shoes. For the Chickwide Shoe store nearest you, call 1-800-341-2888.
We were shocked when the banks turned down our home loan. They said we had some credit problems and that we didn't have enough income.
We just wanted to fix up the house and pay off our bills.
Yeah, and get some breathing room. So we called First Alliance.
They put together a loan we really could afford. We saved $500 right away because there was no application or appraisal fee.
And we got our money in just 10 working days.
Call First Alliance at 1-800-452-4488.
It was so easy.
I couldn't tell anybody my problem. Couldn't tell my boss, I don't feel like coming to work because I'm constipated. Some excuse. What they gonna say? Hey, take a laxative. Sure. Then get on the bus and hope that it doesn't kick in? Then I discovered Metamucil fiber therapy. It has the extra fiber I need to help me stay regular. And it won't irritate like harsh chemical laxatives. Works with your body, safely, naturally. So with Metamucil every day, I got regular and stayed regular.
Metamucil, and you could stay regular for the rest of your life.
West Los Angeles at this hour is being endowed with millions of new temporary residents. Sterile Mediterranean fruit flies, to be exact, 8 million of them today alone. It's a battle against an infestation that's believed to cover a 76-square-mile area. Sunset on the north, Vermont on the east, Florence and Centinela on the south, and the 405 on the west. Now, again, these flies that are being released are sterile, and to add to that indignity, they're dyed pink for identification, but the color is visible only under ultraviolet light. It is planned that the sterile fruit flies will mate with the fertile insects that destroy crops, and then both will die out completely. At the same time, the affected area is under state quarantine. No fruits or vegetables can be taken out.
Four-letter word in our weather future. The word is rain, I guess it's welcome. The question is if we have any, will it interfere with the World Series?
We have a quick shot of showers moving through our area, and I think they'll be gone by Saturday as we get rapid clearing behind it. But yes, the first frontal system of the season is bearing down on Northern California even as we speak. Some of that activity will move into our area late tonight and tomorrow morning. Light rain at less than about a 20% chance. The only real problem with it is that When you get that light rain, it picks up the oils on the roads, so drive safely tonight and tomorrow morning as we're expecting some moisture to move in from the Pacific. Today, partly cloudy at best with gusty westerly winds and a high of only 72 degrees. And here's what's going on in the Pacific. It has gotten very active. Here's our frontal system. You notice as it moves in, the southern end gets closer to Southern California, and you'll notice the jet continues right here. This jet will probably give us another system early next week, but for the time being, we expect this to drift through. Then high pressure rebuilds for a rapid clearing Saturday and Sunday, and then we watch about, I guess, Tuesday or Wednesday for what else is coming to us from the West Coast. Meanwhile, for the rest of the country, 50 cities across the Northeast and the South went to record low temperatures last night. Chicago down to 27, Tallahassee down to 38, Atlantic City, New Jersey down to 31 degrees. A cold night for much of the East Coast. I'm standing in front of the only real rain activity. This frontal system is already producing rain and showers through much of Northern California as far south as the San Francisco area. In fact, Tahoe and Mammoth will get some snow out of this, but it'll be very high up, about the 8,000-foot level. So we'll wait and see what that is. So that's the preseason in the ski season. Turning cloudy, 20% chance of light rain tonight. Gusty winds, low of 60. Tomorrow, we're looking for 20% chance of rain in the early part of the day, slow clearing, and then a high of about 70 degrees on Friday. And I think that by Saturday, we'll move back up into the high 70s as we expect much more sunshine than tomorrow. That's it from the weather front. Back to you.
Okay, Mac, let's go to the business world now. In business news, a revolutionary new computer has made its debut. It is called Next, and it was unveiled yesterday in San Francisco. This computer actually talks, and it has a disk device that can store a whole dictionary in the complete works of Shakespeare and then some. It was designed by Steve Jobs, who was the co-founder of Apple Computer. Jobs says that he plans to sell it to universities and that the model will sell for $6,500. Chris?
America's foreign trade deficit rose sharply in August, according to figures released today by the Commerce Department. The rating grew to the tune of $12.2 billion. That was $2 billion more than had been expected. The August imbalance is being blamed on America's increased appetite for foreign cars and other high-priced foreign items. At the same time, the nation's exports rose only slightly. The net effect of the continuing rise in the trade deficit is expected to exert downward pressure on the dollar and the bond market. Stock market is staging a moderate advance today despite the trade deficit figures. As of noon, the Dow Jones Industrial Average stood at 2135.14, up almost 9 points.
And just ahead on Action News, does LA meet the stress test? Well, we're going to find out.
Plus, Dr. Howard Torman on the accuracy of AIDS tests when we come back.
Last month I had quite a scare. Had to take Beth to the hospital. They had me filling out forms up to here. Sign this, sign that, sign here, sign there. It's tough when you're worried. And all along, I knew that Medicare wouldn't cover everything. Well, when Beth came home, we made up our minds to look into health care plans. She says I'm picky. She's right, I am picky. Well, I found a plan called Secure Horizons. I pay no premiums, no deductibles. Not bad, huh?
Under contract with the federal government, Secure Horizons is a very special no-premium, no-deductible plan just for people on Medicare. Call 1-800-544-3306 for a free information packet.
Oh, Beth is fine now, and that's the way I like it.
It's Captain Midnight!
See, here I am. We all drink our chocolate-flavored Ovaltine every day to help give us what we need for rocket power.
Yeah.
That's the only way, Hank. You know, it won't be long before every home in the country will have one of those. Here's an important Secret Squadron message.
Classic Ovaltine's back in chocolate malt and original malt flavors, and still available in rich chocolate.
You miss her.
More than I imagined. I can't believe she's old enough to leave for college.
I can't believe you're old enough to be your mom. You're as beautiful today as the day she was born.
I take care of myself.
She eats right, exercises, and takes Geritol Complete with nearly twice the iron of ordinary supplements, all the vitamins and minerals you need, and now with beta-carotene.
She's got an exciting future.
So do we. Geritol Complete for the best years of your life.
Well, if you're in search of the laid-back life, LA may not be what you're looking for after all. A California researcher says the Los Angeles Long Beach area is among the top 10 most stressful places to live in the nation. Fresno State psychologist Robert Levin ranked 300 metropolitan areas on the rates of crime, suicide, alcoholism, and divorce. At the top of the list, Reno, Nevada. The least stressful? Pack your bags if you want to move there. State College, Pennsylvania. Real exciting place.
Time now for us to talk to Dr. Howard Torman, because the subject today is one that's on everyone's mind. It is the subjects of AIDS testing. How accurate? Should it be mandatory? All of those things. Well, there's a new study that's out, and Dr. Torman's going to bring us up to date right now. Howard?
Yeah, you know, we've had these AIDS tests available for some time now, and actually we've used them to try and determine who's infected with the AIDS virus and those people who actually have clinical AIDS. Now, the test, like I say, has been around for a number of years, and we've been going through several evolutions of them, making them more and more accurate, but it's always been kind of the nagging question of just how good is the test? Is it possible that someone will be told they have AIDS when in fact they really don't? Well, to try and answer that question, there's a very nice study in this week's New England Journal of Medicine where the military looked at 135,000 recruits, all of whom came from areas where you wouldn't expect to have a high AIDS prevalence. That doesn't include California, Nevada, and Maryland, and places like that. What they did was they tested all of these recruits, 135,000 of them, and when they went and checked on everything, they found that the AIDS test, the same one that you could have, say, if you went out to a local clinic, is 99.993% accurate. I got to tell you, medical tests don't get any better than that. So what this study did was it confirmed for us that we have a very, very useful, very accurate AIDS test. Good news if you're trying to check on blood transfusions and also to try and make the diagnosis of AIDS in some folks. But it also begs the bigger question, which is, should we be doing mandatory comprehensive testing of everybody? That means you, your family, your friends, you name it. Most people in the medical community think that that's not a great idea.
What about the military, though? That's a different situation, although people said military people should have their rights too. It should not be mandatory.
Yeah, it becomes a real, it's a sort of inside ball issue with the military, because they raise these issues that, well, we want to cut down an infection rate between the troops and so forth, and it's a, quote, public health issue. But in fact, there's no data to suggest that they're correct any more than there's data to suggest that if we did mandatory testing for all of us, say, for example, that there would be any benefit from us either. The military sort of does things their own way. The good news is that they're coming up with all sorts of data like this that we don't have in the general population.
So what you're saying then really is that this question breaks down into two components. One is a scientific side, which you say the accuracy now of 99.99% has been established. But the other really is a social side as to whether or not we think it's a good idea to do this testing en masse.
For the sake of argument, what do you do if you have some positive information on this thing? Well, supposedly you'll stem the tide of AIDS. Well, but that's not true, because you can't control who's having sex with who or who's having contact with who. Well, maybe with other diseases we can use it to actually treat the disease. Well, we can't do that with AIDS yet. What are you going to do if you test people, say, before they get married? Are you going to prohibit them from getting married if they test positive? You can't enforce it. It makes no sense in my mind and in most physicians' minds to do it at this point.
But it validates the basic test.
Right. The basic test is useful for what we want to use it for, which is within medical context.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Torman. If you have questions for Dr. Torman, you can write them here at KCBS. I'd be happy to answer them for you on the air. 6121 Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles, 90028. When we come back, we will meet a man whose bird watching pays off in more ways than one.
If you've ever driven one of these, you'll appreciate how expensive it can be to fill one up. But you might be surprised to find how much less it costs to fill one up at Ralph's and the Giant. Because with our unlimited double coupons, thousands of price reductions, and everyday low prices, our customers can drive home with lower food bills. And maybe that's why so many shoppers are trading in their wagons for ours. Change for the better to Ralph's and the Giant.
Notice Kentucky Fried Chicken breasts are much smaller than Pioneer's. That's because their chickens are cut into 3 small breasts instead of 2 large ones. Why do you think they do this?
For very small people. Is this one of those nuggets?
3 breasts? Chickens don't have 3 breasts, do they?
Pioneers don't. At Pioneer, you get what you pay for. Not only do you get great tasting chicken, but you get a lot more chicken to taste. Pioneer, we do chicken better.
How can you tell when someone you love needs help? Look for warning signs, like anger and violence. loss of control, not being able to cope, inability to sleep or sleeping too much, overwhelming depression. If you or someone you love is in trouble, Charter can help. We offer real solutions to your family's problems.
Call Charter Hospital of Long Beach. Take the first step.
In the Noonday Sun today, Stephen McCoy, the man who makes fancy decoys. He's in Missouri, so when you ask him to show you art from wilderness and the wildlife, he's got an answer, and he told it to Steve Feldy for CBS News.
This is where I get my inspiration. I see things that are unique to each species of bird.
Stephen McCoy then takes that inspiration from his aviary a few hundred feet to his workshop and carves it into world-class wildlife art.
There's just something special about wildlife that really intrigues me.
And there's something about McCoy's artwork that intrigues other people. He's won top honors at national and international competitions, including this pair of ducks, recently placing in the top 5 in the World Pairs competition.
I'm making a piece later this year. I'll start in October. There'll be 2 birds in it for $20,000.
But this all began for Stephen McCoy as a hobby back in 1980. He made it a profession in 1984 when faced with a choice of leaving the area on a job transfer to Davenport, Iowa or Peoria, Illinois. He decided to see if his hobby would pay off. Now, along with winning national and international awards and making a living, McCoy is sharing his talent with others, teaching classes in wildlife art. He says it's almost as much fun as carving, sharing his vision of wildlife with others. Steve Feldy for CBS News, Frankfort, Missouri.
Coming up on Action News at 5 o'clock, we'll have the latest on the presidential debate. Political editor Warren Olney will be live inside Pauley Pavilion at UCLA for the final face-off between Mike Dukakis and George Bush. Plus, the scramble for World Series tickets. We'll have a complete report on Action News at 5 o'clock.
And that is it for the Noon News. We thank you very much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. You're on special assignment.
I'm on special assignment, that's right. And of course, there's no 6 o'clock news tonight because we're covering the debate. But thank you for being with us, and good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
And now, a Channel 2 editorial.
About 150 years ago, Alexis de Tocqueville, a Frenchman, wrote 4 books about democracy in America, its good points and bad. A bad one, he found, was that our system is subject to a tyranny of the majority, a political lynch mob that could vote itself the short end of the stick. That possibility is in Proposition 106 on your November ballot. It proposes cutting lawyers' contingency fees by 40% or more. Contingency works like this. You go to a lawyer seeking damages for an injury. He agrees to fight for you against the insurance company. You pay nothing. The lawyer agrees to take your case for 1/3 of whatever he can recover. No win, no pay. If he makes a good case, the insurance company will usually wait until just before the case comes to trial, 3 to 5 years, then negotiate a cash settlement. Insurance companies find contingency lawyers one of their big expenses. They win too much. So the insurance industry put 106 on the ballot to cut contingency fees by 1/3 on the first $100,000 your lawyer recovers, and by 2/3 on everything over that. It cuts your lawyer's pay, but not the insurance company's lawyer. What looks like a free lunch is really an incentive for your lawyer to settle for less, take his money and run. If the scheme were valid, it would make sense to vote down the price of bread, utilities, everything we buy, but there's no free lunch. Prop 106 is an 18-carat turkey, and you best not buy it. I'm Bob Hyland.